Tucker Carlson might be facing jail time after apparently being a double agent for the Iranian government, and that's not even to mention Qatar. And he has a 5 minute diatribe explaining why he doesn't think he's going to go to jail and totally did not betray the country.
So the other day, I found out that the CIA is preparing some kind of criminal referral against me, a crime report, the Department of Justice, on the basis of a supposed crime I committed. What's that crime? Well, talking to people in Iran before the war.
Why would you do
They
that?
read my texts. So the crime under consideration apparently would be the Foreign Agent Act or something like that, acting as an agent of a foreign power. And I don't expect this to go anywhere. I'm not too worried about an actual criminal case against me for a bunch of reasons. One, I'm not an agent of a foreign power. Unlike a lot of people commenting on U.S. politics and global affairs, I have only one loyalty, and that's the United States, and have never acted against it.
Okay, so he's saying that as someone who is chastising Mark Levin and rightfully so, a lot of people that take orders from Netanyahu. But then he's also saying, well, I don't talk to the foreign agents that I'm being accused of talking to. Meanwhile, he did speak to the Iranians to some degree, and Trump met with them, by the way, and ultimately he bombed the IRGC on the basis of Tucker being like, oh yeah, Trump won't totally kill the Ayatollah, and he did. What a mark.
Its interests are the only interests I care about because I'm from here and I have a lot of kids. So that's not a concern. I've also never taken money from anybody. Don't need it, don't want it. And that's
He got gifted a house in Qatar, by the way.
provable. And moreover, it's my job to talk to everybody all the time and try and figure out what's happening
Like
around the
Putin?
world. That's literally what I do for a living. And I'm not going to stop doing that. Nor should I don't think. I'm also an American. I can talk to anybody. I have no secrets to divulge. So legally, I think the case is ludicrous, and I doubt it'll even become a case. I'm bringing this up for a couple of reasons, though, and they're pretty obvious. One is that countries tend to become more authoritarian in wartime. It's just the nature of war. People are dying. The stakes are high. People's emotions have risen to a very high point, to a crescendo. And so there's much less tolerance for any kind of dissent in the homeland. The irony of
Okay, so the irony here, of course, as he says the word that I was going to use, Tucker goes, well, during war, people get more draconian, more authoritarian, and that is somewhat true. But he's playing into people's sensibilities. He's a populist, but a faux populist. He is someone who fakes it. And ultimately, the point here is that there's an ironic aspect to this where ultimately Tucker, of all people, is the one who is talking to Iran. Meanwhile, Trump is clearly saying, okay, we need to denuclearize the Islamic State of Iran, and they're an enemy of our interest, which is pretty much commonsensical to anyone. And so Tucker's like, well, President Trump is being a dictator here. That's what he's implying. Now, that's stupid because he literally had Tucker over at the White House the day before he even bombed Iran in the first place. And then on top of that, just imagine if Tucker were to be talking to Saddam Hussein or his underlings in Iraq in 2003, you don't think Bush would do the same thing? Look at the guy's text, make sure he's not snaking our country, making sure we don't have troops die there because he told the Ayatollah something that the president told him the day before?
course, is the United States fights wars on behalf of freedom, but there's always less of it here in our country during war. So that's a widely recognized phenomenon, and it's likely to happen now too. Another point to make that is worth knowing is that the USIC, the intelligence agency, spy on Americans. Now, you probably knew that, and it's been revealed a lot, including by Julian Assange and Ed Snowden, both of whom are threatened with death for revealing it, but everyone knows. But it's probably a little more widespread than most people understand, and it's outrageous. There's no justification for your government, which you own, you're a shareholder in it, you pay for it, to be violating your privacy like this. But it happens all the time. And in fact,
Okay, then why are you talking to Iran? None of us hardworking Americans are talking to fucking Iran. Okay? Be it the Ayatollah, be it fucking, I don't know, Soleimani's nephew or something. Like, what? Why are you talking to Iran? You know, it was one thing when you were interviewing Putin on Fox News. That's one thing, and that was fucking stupid, and I think he's a Russian shill. And they're losing the war anyway, so what was it all for? But, like, goddamn, dude.
one of the reasons that CIA, or people within CIA, just to be clear, it's a huge, sprawling, disconnected agency. What it does in a
That your
specific
dad
case
worked
doesn't
for.
represent what everybody in the building thinks, but there are some people who are mad at me for my views about Israel, and they have some latitude. And one of the reasons they pass on criminal complaints, in effect, to law enforcement is to justify warrants for spying on Americans. So that is an absolutely real thing.
So did you or did you not speak to the Iranian government?
But the main reason they do it is to leak the existence of the investigation, such as it is, to the media, and then humiliate and terrify the subjects of this op. And that's, of course, happened to me repeatedly, many times, including in famously 2021 when I was still at Fox News and trying to set up an interview with Vladimir Putin. And the NSA, I heard from someone there, had grabbed my text messages with an American citizen and had leaked them to news outlets. Those texts were basically my attempts to set up an interview with the foreign head of state, and they leaked them to the New York Times in order to stop the interview, which they successfully did, by the way. And they admitted that they were spying on me. This is not a fantasy. It actually happened. They did it.
Okay, so it's one thing to say, well, they spied on you and that's effed up, obviously, J. Edgar Hoover type stuff. That is malfeasance, and we can all agree with that. The deep state is deep. Obviously, that is wrong. However, when he says, oh, it's an American citizen that I was talking to, why do you have to clarify it's an American citizen? If you're an American in Maine, I believe Tucker lives in, why the hell do you have to clarify? Okay, like if I were talking to like a 40-year-old white guy, I wouldn't be like, oh, yeah, he's a citizen. It's like, well, what the fuck are you talking about here, Tucker? So, yeah, no, so Tucker is lying for sure. Like, what the hell's going on here? An American citizen, did he happen to have the last name Mohammed?
Again, 2 years later, my second attempt to get a Putin interview, I managed to get it anyway, and they've done it since. And so when you get a call from a reporter...
This guy interviewed Putin for, what, 2 or 3 hours? And what did the guy do? He just went over the justifications for invading Ukraine, went over Russian history, going back to Tsar Nicholas II, and probably before that, Alexander the Great, I don't know, Jesus. And it's like, dude, what the fuck? Why? And then this guy does a vlog as a 50-year-old man in a, Moscow Russian grocery store. And that achieved what exactly? What? Humanization of the Russian regime. And to what end? They're losing the war. It's been 4 years. It's like if the rest of the United States try to invade Texas and they're still not even 200 miles into Texas itself. They didn't even take fucking Midland, Odessa, Dallas, Lubbock. Like, what the hell is going on here? So Tucker is a paid shill for Qatar for a lot of different places, and he rightfully does point out, well, there's a lot of Zionist influence in the government. God knows that is true, and we do know that obviously people are being paid by AIPAC, but you are pretty much cut from the same cloth, albeit from a different side of the Persian Gulf, where all of a sudden, well, the Qatar money, this guy says, I've never taken cash from any other government. Okay, but what about a fucking house? If a guy paid $100,000, that's still less than whatever house he got offered was.
Who knows the contents of your texts, it's pretty clear something's going on.
Fake laugh.
None of this,
pathetic,
in my judgment as of right now, is a huge threat to me, so I'm not making this video to complain about it or whine or ask you to send me money because
why are you doing it?
I'm saying it because it's true, and you should know what your own government is doing, and you should know what the stakes are, and you should know that
your own government is spying on people that talk to the Iranian government despite claiming to be a populist America First conservative. Wow.
A lot of what happens in this country that affects outcomes happens behind the scenes. Some of it is legal, some of it is not.
First time I heard it.
What I'm describing now.
Genius.
But it has an effect. And the intel agencies, again, not everyone in the intel agencies, because there are decent, hardworking Americans.
Like your father that worked with the CIA.
Just like there are decent, hardworking Americans who work at the DMV.
What?
But there are also people with agendas and grudges and no sense of restraint who are happy to misuse the power they have granted them by our elaborate secrecy laws to hurt fellow Americans for ideological reasons. That is entirely real. That's the story of Russiagate. And it's likely that things like that will begin to happen at greater scale now. So you should just know that going forward. Thanks.
What a fucking smartass, really. So the government's spying on you. I know that everybody who's like following my podcast, because I'm like a populist conservative, you guys totally don't know about Snowden, even though I mentioned him 3 minutes ago. And honestly, like they will read your text, farmer in Iowa. Sometimes you text the Ayatollah, sometimes you text the IRGC in Iran after you meet with the president. And like, honestly, I'm a victim like the rest of you. Fuck you, Tucker. What a scumbag. Just like so stupid. My God. All right, so to round out the video, we have Avi Yemeni, whoever the hell that is, saying that photo right here is hilarious in hindsight. He goes, Trump knew Tucker was talking to Iran, so he invites him to the Oval Office the day before the strike, knowing Tucker would run straight back and relay it to the Iranians. Iran sees the photo, thinks Tucker has Trump's ear, thinks that Trump is bluffing about bombing Iran. Meanwhile, Trump is sitting there smiling because he wanted them to believe it. Tucker's ego sells the deception. Khomeini, the Ayatollah, buys it. And just like that, Tucker unknowingly helps take out the supreme leader traitor, and now America's biggest traitor may be heading to prison. Perfectly played by President Trump. And I actually agree with this more or less. Hopefully he goes to prison. The guy's an idiot. He interviewed Putin for what? To what end exactly? He is anti-Israel, and then he blames anybody who goes against him to be, APAC puppets. I'm being paid by nobody. And so, yeah, if you're talking to Iran as an American citizen, what the fuck are you doing? You're a white guy. You don't have a cousin in Iran. You don't have any family there. You don't have a wife from Iran even. Why the hell are you talking to them at all? Case in point, what the hell? Why are you doing seminars and speaking engagements in Qatar? Are you getting paid for that? You apparently got a free house from the Qatar government or whatever the fuck. Okay? So what's going on here, Tucker? Disgusting. And so, yeah, on one hand, you could say, well, Israel takes politicians and they wine and dine them. They make them vote for their cause in the Congress, and that's totally true. However, on the other, on the flip side, what's going on with Qatar? What's going on with Saudi Arabia? What's going on with the UAE? Disgusting, honestly. Bahrain. So, Tucker, you're a fucking traitor, and he should go to jail. So, comment down below your thoughts. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want more content like this, because honestly, this Tucker guy has gotten on my nerves. Okay, so I'll see you all in the next one. Adios.